scientists have found a way to tackle one of the deadliest cancer tumours by... It doesn't sound very technical, does it? But they block its energy supply.
Well, pancreatic cancer currently has the highest death rate in England, killing 9 in 10 patients within 5 years.
Yeah, but developing drugs to starve them of their fuel source could improve treatment and hopefully boost survival.
Well, let's speak to oncologist Professor Karol Sikora, who can tell us more. Good morning to you, Karol. Really, really good to see you this morning. So we were having a discussion in the newsroom this morning about even the fact that cancer has to feed off something. You don't think of it that way, but it needs an energy source, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and cancer cells are very clever. They can use all sorts of things. It's like a car that can switch between diesel and petrol and so on. And the key to treating cancer is to find something that selectively kills the cancer but leaves normal cells fine. And that's been the challenge throughout my whole career. It's getting better all the time. The drugs we have for chemotherapy are much better than when I started. But the interesting thing here in this, which is a British discovery in the Institute of Cancer Research in London, is that pancreas cells indeed do use alternative sources of fuel when they become cancerous. And therefore, it's a great target to develop new drugs for them.
It is part of the confusion here. We're talking about a fuel source for pancreatic cancerous cells. Do different parts of the body use different things then? Are all cancers totally different?
That's right. And the technology that was used for these experiments in the Institute of Cancer Research can be applied to other things, breast, colon, and so on. So you can start finding the subtle differences between cancer cells, how they feed, how they find alternatives to sugar. Basically, as cancers grow, wherever they are in the body, they outgrow their blood supply. So they can't get sugar. They can't get the normal things the cells get to feed. And so they look at alternative things. And they're very clever at changing in the environment. They evolve. So this discovery suggests that if you keep looking, you will be able to find new mechanisms to discriminate cancer cells from normal cells and therefore have more success in treatment.
This is really optimistic news, isn't it? Especially because pancreatic cancer does have such a bleak prognosis.
It does. The only thing is that it's going to take time. It's going to be 5 years, unfortunately, at least before a drug comes. Often it takes more to get a drug. I mean, some take 10 years. And this isn't a clinical study. It's not done in patients. There's no point people, sadly, with spread of pancreatic cancer, phoning them up and saying, give me the drug. It's not at that stage. But it just suggests a whole new avenue to explore, which in 5 years' time will give us the drugs we need to selectively kill pancreatic and parts other cancers.
I know it's a difficult one. I mean, human testing, is that stage 2 or stage 3 testing or something? Obviously, it has to be carried out. With something like pancreatic cancer, if the outlook is so bleak, is there a willingness of some patients to say, well, let me try it, test it out on me, because what have I got to lose?
Absolutely. There's no doubt people who are in the situation, they don't want to wait 5 years. Just use me as a guinea pig, and they ask you to go on clinical trials. There's a lot of bureaucracy and regulation about trials and consent and so on, but people are desperate. And, I've had patients that have travelled round to the US and so on, and desperate to try and get this treatment at any point. I mean, it's a real balance. I mean, the press releases come out from the cancer charities heralding breakthroughs that you can't really access at the moment. Is that ethical? It probably is. It's truthful information. The scientific details were published in a scientific journal, Nature, on Thursday this week, and that's why they issued a press release. But it does disturb patients, and I've had people that are really disturbed. They know there may be something, not here yet, come back in 5 years. They haven't got 5 years to come back in. And that's really difficult handling. So
do you think there's a real argument there for trying to keep these things under wraps, sort of, until there is a treatment available?
you're right. Should we do that? The trouble is, if you read the press release, it's very carefully worded. It's not overblowing the case. And it is exciting in a scientific viewpoint. It's not at the stage where it's exciting clinically. People with families, that someone may have pancreatic cancer, it's going to be of no value to them now. It is going to take years before it comes there. And everything's like that in the cancer business. There's no doubt. It takes a long time to get a drug or a new type of treatment through to be effective in patients. Should we hide them? I think it's better to be open. We're sort of adult conversation about cancer now, unlike when I started, when we didn't tell anybody they had cancer. I think it's reasonable to put this out in a responsible way as it's been done.
And just very briefly, surely this will give a boost to scientists for the hope of finding a cure for other types of cancers.
That's right. This is pancreatic cancer because that was the disease studied. But the principle is the same for everything. It may be a different chemical. This was uridine. The cancer cells break down and make sugar out of. There'll be other ones we can find. So this whole metabolic approach to cancer, looking at what cancer cells eat and how they grow, seems a reasonable way forward for the future.